Hey everyone, welcome to another devlog from my immersive sim game, Tempered Flames. We've got a lot to do, so let's get right into it. In the last devlog, I made some huge changes to the combat system and made the enemy AI actually react to the player's actions. This was an awesome milestone to hit, but naturally a bunch of new bugs came up that I'll have to fix. I made a lot of tweaks to the hit stop, and it feels a lot smoother now. The thing is, if you don't have your sword up and the enemy hits you, you don't get out of the hit stop state, it just freezes. Turns out, I put the function that ends the hit stop inside of the code that checks if the player is holding his sword, so it's funny how sometimes such impactful issues have such an easy solution. That is some early morning wisdom for you right there. But the real thing I wanted to get done this week was the lightning ability. I made a few tweaks to the one I got sent by the fantastic VFX artist Shine, and I'm really happy with the result. I made a few animations for the player's arms so that it looks like he's actually using his abilities instead of them just coming out of nowhere like before. This is such an improvement over what it was in the prototype that I can't even believe it. Like, it actually looks like a game. If you remember in one of my older devlogs, I mentioned that the whole reason for the lightning ability is to create what's called emergent gameplay. So for example, the enemies are going to be able to dynamically react to the lightning that the player placed himself. This will allow for a lot more player freedom and strategy potential, and just make things a lot more fun and engaging in general, because every playthrough will feel different and it will feel like the world is actually reacting to what you're doing. I obviously had to make the actual doorway that would get the lightning effect first, which I think ended up looking great, but also a little bit big. I'll tweak it eventually, but first I'm just really itching to see how this lightning will actually look in-game, especially when it'll actually have an effect on the world. I took part of the lightning effect from Shine and made a new prefab out of it that will trigger on the doorknob when you shock it. It looks like you can see it through walls though. We'll fix that eventually, but for now I'm just happy that it works, and it does look great, I think. So next up, I'm going to have to make some new animations for the enemy so that you can actually interact with the lightning. But in the meantime, I know that there are a lot of new people coming to the channel, so first of all, thanks so much for joining in, and make sure to like and subscribe and all that. But also, I wanted to quickly explain to you guys what Tempered Flames is actually about. If you're returning to the channel, you know that story for me is the most important part of game development, so the story of Tempered Flames is pretty much everything to me in this project. Essentially, the game takes place after a revolution that destroyed the previous kingdom. Now, the kingdom was good, and this new revolution caused a lot of chaos and destroyed all the things that the old kingdom held important. Now, the player was the son of one of the king's guards, who was a distant relative of the king, and the revolutionaries killed everybody in the court. After the revolution, the player grows up and kind of makes ends meet for himself, and you kind of get caught up in this new struggle emerging with the new regime trying to take control and the old enemies of the kingdom kind of still being around, and you eventually find out about a great darkness that's kind of pulling strings behind the scenes, kind of like Emperor Palpatine or something. Eventually, it's going to be up to the player to decide what he wants to do about that, if he wants to take up his responsibility as essentially one who might be next in line to the throne since everyone else is dead, or if he wants to follow his own personal desires and kind of make things easy for himself. So all that in mind, I better go make those animations. While I do feel like I've gotten better at animating, it can still be really tedious. Although I've come to enjoy it a lot more now, it's crazy to see these characters come to life, especially once I actually put them in Unity and you can interact with them. 3D animation isn't something indies do too often, at least not that I'm familiar with, so I'm glad Tempered Flames gets to be a little bit unique in that regard. The challenge now is going to be figuring out how to get the enemy to actually decide to open the doors to reach the player. I have done some AI pathfinding work on a horror game my friend Steve and I made for Ludum Dare, so I think I can reuse a lot of that, so I might just take a lot of the stealth detection aspects of that and bring it into this project. So make sure you stay tuned for that in the next devlog. Things are going along incredibly well, so make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode, which come out every week or two, and follow me on Twitter, links in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and God bless.